Are you looking for the next strategic steps to helping your church grow? Welcome to Mapping Your Next Steps for Church Growth Success. I'm Hugh Plappert. In this video, we will show you how to make sure your church has a comprehensive growth cycle, how to balance the three key growth components, and how to map these out in a two-dimensional chart so you have a comprehensive overview of your church, and how to analyze this overview to find your next steps. If you don't have a copy of our Mapping Your Next Steps for Church Growth Success document, you can receive a free one when you subscribe to our Church Growth Network resources by clicking on the green button below. There are 8 resources included in this document for additional insights, so you will want to make sure that you download your copy. So if you don't have a copy of the document, please pause this video, click on the green button, go subscribe. When you subscribe, you will be sent an email. When you receive that email, you'll find the link in there to download a copy of this important document. Once you have that document, then you can come back and pick up where you left off in this video. Now that you have your copy of the mapping document, let's take a look at the church growth cycle at the top of page 1. Now there are 4 main parts to this cycle. The first one is initiate. Here, you want to identify your prospects and how you're going to contact them. Okay? So this particular phase of the growth cycle, it includes creating a vision and a mission statement, creating a persona. A persona is a target. Who is it that you want to reach? This is where you do your PR work, your business cards, your signage, okay? So people can identify with you. And then you want to do focus marketing. This is the first contact that you will make with many people in your community. This takes place in this initiate stage. The second stage is the engage stage. Okay? So when we're in that engage stage, we want to serve people first. And secondly, we want to invite them to our church. Now this is where we do follow-up marketing. Once we make a contact and we start to build relationships, and as we build those relationships, we want to make sure that we have no agenda. All right? You're serving them because you're representing Christ. Okay? If they never become a member of your church, build relationships with no agenda. The quality of those relationships are a lot higher, and people will trust you more. So in the future, when there's an opportunity to invite them, there'll be a lot less resistance. Okay? Now, this particular group of people is actually kind of like a second church or a second congregation. They don't show up in the sanctuary, but they're there for you to minister to reach, and to bless, and to be a part of their lives. And you can start that ministry before they become a member of your church. Now, you want to create what we call low threshold events, where it's very easy to invite them. A concert, a festival, something that isn't saying, we want you to come and we're going to dunk you in the tank today. Okay, so you want these low threshold events to get their feet in the door. Also, you can host special events, have special concerts or special training sessions at your church to get their feet in the door. All right, now this group of people that you're building is the group of people that you will have ready to invite once you want to host revival services. Instead of just inviting your saints and begging them to bring people, you've already got a queue set up of people ready for revival that you can invite and let God move into their lives. So this is the engage stage. It's the second stage of the cycle, the growth cycle that we are looking at. So in these first 2 cycles on the left side of the growth cycle, we are reaching to people. Okay, now we're going to shift gears and go into the third phase of the growth cycle, the involve cycle. In the involve cycle, this is where we retain and disciple people. So this is where your guest services, your hospitality, your visitor follow-up all play keys. And then you want to not only get these people to come back and come back to church, you want to start discipling them. And you can disciple them before they're saved. You can start training them with basic Christian habits, learning to love their Bible, look into the Bible for answers before they're saved. So you don't have to wait till somebody is saved and then say, oh, now I go join the discipleship class. So you can do that ahead of time there. Also, in this phase, it's kind of tricky, okay? So if we really did a high quality job in the first two phases where we were initiating and we're engaging people, and we built high quality relationships, the higher quality the relationship is with the person before they come to church, there is less burden on the guest services and the visitor follow-up. These are not strangers. This is not people that are reaching for the first time. They see you for the first time. They already have a warm, welcoming relationship with people in the church, know people by name, and it is less burden. Now, you still need to have good guest services, hospitality, and visitor follow-up for those that do come to your church and meet you for the first time. All right? But you don't have to work that hard when there's a stronger relationship built up front. It minimizes that. They're in the third stage here, in the involve stage. The final stage is the empower stage. In the empower stage, this is where you recruit and you motivate people. You're developing leaders. You're doing a lot of mentoring and mentorship. You're setting goals and you're evaluating performance and you're helping people grow. Now, this is one of the hardest to navigate of all of these phases, because this is where hostilities can happen and people get upset with each other. They're stepping on each other's toes. There's a lot of miscommunication. This is a very critical stage and a hard stage to navigate. If you can conquer this stage, then you can have a complete growth cycle and have a growing church. But if you fail in this stage, you actually will lose all the successes that you built up in the other three stages, and people fall out the back door. And so it's very critical on this stage to be thorough, to think this one through. We have projects at this level, and developing those leaders, and ask for a lot of wisdom from God, because this will complete the cycle and start scaling and accelerating and seeing great things happen. But if you stumble in this fourth phase, you lose everything. Okay? So it's very critical that we get through this, and if you do, it's very powerful. So now we're ready to look at the three growth components, which you will find on the middle of your first page of the document here. There are three key components into church growth. There's the spiritual product, the culture, and the systems. If any one of these three are weak or missing, you will hinder you in your church growth, okay? And we'll explain in a little bit how these relate to the church growth cycle and how they work together. But in the spiritual product, the participants in this particular component are you and God. Church growth is a God thing, and you need to be sure that you're in tune with God. If not, all the other things that we'll do for church growth is just tinkling cymbals and noise and busyness, okay? So we need to have a very good spiritual product. Now, the spiritual product is different between denominations, and this is one of the strongest distinctives that will help you succeed, okay? If you really believe in what your denomination believes, people will join you. If you stumble and water down what your denomination believes, people will question you, okay? So a good spiritual product is very important and is your distinctive. Now, a spiritual product will bear fruit in the worship, in the presence of God, and in lives changed in your church. That's the spiritual product. A good spiritual product will give your new members inspiration to participate in your church's culture. And so in the second component, we're looking at your church's culture. The participants in this culture is you and your members, okay? And this is tricky because there's two sides to the culture. As a leader, you'll set a tone for the culture, but yet your members will bring in manners and methods to the table that will mix. The culture is a mix of what you want and what you get. That's just how it works. And sometimes as a minister, you might be stubborn and not like the way the culture works in your community, but you have to learn to adapt to that and bring in your input and your influence on the culture. It takes both of those. Now, the culture components will bear fruit in how you communicate, when you meet, where you meet, and how you conduct meetings. Once a new member adapts to the culture of your church, they will become passionate about belonging to your church and want to participate in the systems that you have set up in your church. Now, the third component in church growth is systems. Now, the key participants in the systems component is your team and their accountability. Realize you are missing in the systems component. Your influence on the systems component is the spiritual product and the culture. What your people do, how they do it, what skills and ability they bring will be what makes the systems in your church. Okay? They're in control of the systems. Now you have to cast the vision and you have to set some cultural guidelines and standards, but the doing is theirs. And so you've got to work on building them up. Now the systems will bear fruit by the way you point the direction and fulfill the vision. Okay? And you've got to let people be who they are, right? But you want to have a culture of growing and of learning and of expanding and of taking on more responsibility. Those are culture items that you want to train those people on, but they will drive the systems. And it takes these three components for any church to grow. Okay, now we can turn over the document, or if you have a soft copy of PDF, you can scroll down to page 2. All right. Now, page 2, we're going to look at the opportunity matrix. Okay. Now, in this matrix, you'll see that we have mapped out the church growth cycle down the left side and the church growth components across the top. These components, okay, in each cycle will drive that cycle. So at every cycle, you need to look at the spiritual product, you need to look at the culture, you need to look at the systems. So from this matrix now, we have a map of what it takes for church to grow. You can overlay this map now with your church. Which areas is your church strong in, or weak in, or need help in? Which areas interest you in an area that you can develop your church members in? This is the map. Okay? Now, if you look in the middle of page 2, you will see the analytical steps here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to locate ourselves on this map, where we're strong, where we're weak, and what we're interested in. The second thing you want to do, once you've located those areas on the map, is what are the low-hanging fruit? What's the simple things that you can do in the next month or two? Attack those first. Get started, get moving, don't sit around and wait, okay? Go for the low-hanging fruit, the easiest things to do, the easiest things you can ask people to do to move forward in filling out this map. Okay? Then you want to find the weakest points, and this is very strategic. Find the places that are a real pain, all right? Even the part of the areas that you're scared of the most. You want to address these areas, and this is very, very important. The reason being is you're going to have practice in doing church growth activities. You're going to elevate up some of the problems in your team dynamics, and you're going to address those. And people are going to go through a learning process, and the people are going to start taking you serious. All right? If you don't address the weak points and try to do another great church growth program, people won't take you serious. So you want to address the weak points, and when you do, and you take it slow, and you win people over, they're going to take you serious. Okay? So if you address the weak points and you overcome the team dynamic issues, and then people learn the process, how to participate, what's expected of them and stuff, you now have a team ready to step into opportunities. So if you had jumped into opportunities first instead of the weak points, you're going to overspend financially and probably get no return. You're going to bang your head in those team dynamic problems and maybe lose people. You won't accomplish the goals, and people will be frustrated from not having success. There's just a lot of problems. So hit the weak ones first, and then move on and look into the opportunities. We hope that you have found this resource, Mapping Your Next Steps for Church Growth Success, very helpful. And it's just laying a foundation for you to look at your church, okay? So with Finish Line Planner and Church Growth in a Box, we are developing kits and training materials and resources and a network of church growth leaders for you, so now that you can actually go out and develop the tactical church growth steps and plans. But all those steps and plans will map back to this map in this particular document and show you where areas are being addressed in those different opportunities. So stay in tune with us. Now, if you did go and you subscribed and downloaded this document, you are on our email list, and you will receive a lot more church growth resources that are compact, ready for you, especially for bivocational ministers. You have minimal time. We are trying to save you time and get you head starts on church growth opportunities. So be patient and stay in tune with us. Look forward to our emails. We hope that we can bless you, and have a great day.